Scotty, no Pippen, no Michael, no Jordan, no Bull. No Bull. No Bull. Only real shit in my town. Not if fake niggas ain't round. No Bull. No Bull. Yeah. No Bull.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of No Ball with myself, Jimmy from UK Chicago Bulls. Thank you for joining us. If you are watching live or listening back or even just listening on the podcast, as always, I always appreciate the support. Really looking forward to this one tonight. It's a guest that we were due to have on a few weeks back, but we had to delay it because he wasn't very well. But I'm pleased to say he's back now, back fighting fit and ready to go. May not have a lot of basketball to talk about, bearing in mind it was only one game this week, or last week. But there's a lot in that game that happened. It was a great game. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we've got a lot of other stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff off court as well as on court. So I'm really excited to get into this one. If you haven't already seen, he's quite a popular member of the UK basketball community now. Lovely guy, really supportive, and it's a pleasure to have him on. So he is Andy, aka Zoglug. How you doing, brother?
Evening, Jimmy. All good? Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you, mate. Thank you for joining me, mate. I really do appreciate it.
Not a problem. As I said, sorry for not being so well a couple of weeks back.
Not at all.
But there was just I'd have been full of snot and not feeling very well, shall we say? So cheers for putting up with that and having us back on.
Not at all, man. Like I say, your health's more important than anything else. So yes, I've just realised as I've done the intro, then my cat decided to join me. So people watching probably just saw the door come open. It's not a ghost or anything. It's just my cat likes
to have to put a ghost in the background or something. Just coming in for people to tweet you about later.
The cat likes to get involved, and every now and then you will hear him jumping up and down the side and little bangs. So that's all that is.
Yeah, you'll probably get my kids will probably be banging on the door in no time at all as well. So it makes two of us with a few potential disruptions tonight.
Well, lucky we're not a professional show. We're all good. We're all good. So, first things first, Andy. How did you get into basketball? And the obvious question, why the Chicago Bulls?
So for me, listening to a few of these shows as well, it seems my tale is similar to a lot of others. So I'm of a certain vintage. I'm an early 80s baby. So by the time that I got introduced to basketball was when I joined high school, sort of 95, 96. And at that time, you couldn't get away from Michael Jordan. He was pretty much everywhere. So really, as it took hold, I didn't have Sky or anything like that at the time. So it was Saturday morning, Trans World Sport, Football Italia, and the NBA show. And Jordan was all over it. So watching what he could do with the basketball and being part of the high school basketball team, I just wanted to be like him. And that's where the sort of the love affair with the Bulls, came for me. A little bit later on, it was the And One stuff as well. So the likes of the sort of the mixtapes that came out, the world tour that they did with, the Professor, Hot Sauce, Skip to Malou, players like that. So again, terrible at it, but it was trying to copy people like that as I carried on playing through college. I then kind of dipped in and out a little bit as life took hold. Through the late 2000s, started watching again sort of early 2010, 2011 when I was over in Dubai. Not a great lot to do over there, other than try and play a bit of basketball because there's quite a few courts about, and certainly watch it because it was on everywhere. And then life took hold. 2 kids came along, which took up quite a bit of my time. We were 12 and 5.
They do that, don't they? They take up a lot of time.
It's unbelievable just how much time. But then I've got my youngest really to thank for me getting back into basketball. So we've got a court literally around the corner from our house. You've probably seen pictures on Twitter. It was all overgrown. It's just a single net.
Oh, yes.
It looks dead out of place.
I did see that, yes.
And as lockdown kicked in, start of 2020, watched The Last Dance on Netflix, which I think drew a lot of people back into basketball. And it was a lot of my childhood growing up watching that. And as we were walking across the field, the little one asked, what's that? Can we play? And we only had a football. So we did. We started trying to shoot in this hoop that had loads of trees overgrown. It was all covered in leaves and whatnot. And we literally played every day. It gave us something to do while we were locked in the house, and it got us out. So, if it weren't for him asking those questions and me trying to show off a little bit and show what I could do from when I played 20 odd years previous, then maybe I wouldn't have got back into basketball the way that I did. And naturally, in with the Bulls as well. So, the bubble came not long after that, which we weren't part of. So me and the little one watched, a few games of that as it went on. Dipped in and out of the Chicago Bulls quite a bit last season. Watched all the finals. So the little one, the first jersey that I got bought was a Milwaukee Bucks jersey.
But I was just about to say, I've got a bone to pick with him because I've seen him in the Bucks jersey.
So that was because, it's not a bad role model to have. It was Giannis.
Listen, that's not a bad role model at all, is it? Let's be real.
Exactly. So he watched Antetokounmpo play basketball. He's a fantastic player. He's a top person as well. You can see that from the way that he tweets, the way that he is in front of the cameras. So that's why we picked him up a Bucks jersey. He's now got we went in Primark, so he's now got Chicago Bulls pajamas. He's now got Chicago Bulls slippers. He's got a full Chicago Bulls tracksuit as well. And then Elliot throws a big spanner in the works by sending him a LeBron James jersey.
Saw that,
so,
yes.
Elliot
loves to wind things up though.
Yeah. So we'll come on to that bit a little bit later.
He sent he sent my two a little care package for the Christmas card things, and because it was addressed to them, I won't open it, so I don't know what they got.
Yeah.
I've got an idea what one, because he's been brilliant. I thought he's just going to get one for me lad, but he said he's thrown something in for my daughter as well. I have no idea what it is. I think I know what my lad's got because we were chatting a bit, but I could with Elliot. You just never know. Yeah. And I've just got a funny feeling, knowing him, just for a laugh, he's put a Knicks jersey in there or something. I don't know.
I was gonna say it wouldn't surprise me if one of your two have got a Knicks jersey.
Yeah, I tell you what, if it is, I should be hiding it straight away and sending it back to him.
Yeah, they'll have to share the other jersey. They'll have to do it that way. So yeah, that's kind of my love affair with basketball. And then this season, I fell in big with it. I've missed 1.5 games. One of them I was ill for. I think that was the second Knicks game. And I was off doing a duathlon, so I missed the first Denver game, I think it was.
Right.
But even then, I ended up at 5 o'clock and watched it before I headed off. I just didn't fancy getting up for the 2 o'clock.
You're watching all those other games you've watched live?
Every other game I've watched live, yes. Even last night. So I was in the Lake District. I was on holiday for the weekend. And I said to the wife, I'm getting up. She's like, but you're away. I'm like, yeah, I don't care. It's the Lakers. We've not played. I've not seen a game for 10 days. So I'm getting up. So I was up at 1 o'clock in the morning while everybody else slept with it on my phone.
That is
watching it. So
insane. Like, I don't know. I wish I could do it. I don't know how people do it. I sort of had to. I mean, everyone knows I'd done 10 in a row once, and my other half said to me, "You need some sleep." I mean, I looked like a ghost. I was white. I was really quite ill with it as well. I'm one of these people that I just need my sleep, unfortunately. So I sort of have to limit myself to one a week now, one live one a week, and there's nothing better than watching it live. But
it's great.
It's just too much for me. It makes me ill. I can do 2 in a row.
It
matches up with me, but any more than that, and I end up going down like quite ill and stuff, and it's just I just can't do it.
Yeah, I've always struggled to sleep, so it works well for me. And I've got a job that's not a manual job, so I sit in front of a laptop. I can do it from home, so if I get a little bit tired, I can grab an hour on the couch for my dinner hour, So
Right.
it lends itself really well at the moment. My wife still thinks I'm completely crazy. Getting up at 1 o'clock in the morning,
She doesn't mind
but
you getting up though.
no. She says as long as it doesn't interrupt her sleep, she's not
Yeah,
bothered at all. So I still get up. I still sort the kids' dinners out for school and make sure everybody's up. So yeah, I can function quite well. It's
fair
been good.
play.
It's been a lot of fun, and certainly we've when Twitter blows up, when you see those plays that just get everybody going,
Oh, it's
and you
brilliant,
just
isn't it?
see Twitter explode. There's something quite special about that.
The worst part about it is because I'm quite an emotional person, as you probably know by my tweets when I watch live. I'm either really up or I'm really down. There's no in between for me. I
Yeah,
wear my heart on my sleeve. But when I get up early. Like this morning, I was up at 5 o'clock and I watched it before I went
yeah,
off to work. And you can't get on. I mean, I don't go on my phone, so I watch it not knowing the score. And then I go to tweet something, and I realise that I'm probably the only idiot watching it at this time. 5 o'clock in the morning. So
yeah.
it's not quite the same, but yeah. I mean, he's just. I'm in a building game, so I just can't do it because I've got a physical job and everything else. So it's.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, even if I had a job where I could sit in front of a laptop, that wouldn't work either. Because if I sit down, I fall asleep. So either way, I wouldn't be able to do it. So
Yeah. No, that's fair enough.
yeah, it's not for me. So, mate, last night's game that was crazy, right?
I went into it not expecting very much, if I'm being honest. You know, we had 2 games postponed. We had players just coming back. You don't know what they've done. You don't know what their conditioning's like. You expect anybody that's coming back not to have the touch. Shots not dropping, leaving them short, pushing them long, not competing. But it just didn't seem to happen last night. We were just competing permanently. It was so good to watch. It was completely different from Bulls games of previous years,
Yeah.
where that's what you would expect to happen. Yeah, it was just brilliant, wasn't it? The marvelous.
It's
You can't give him enough superlatives.
it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but
Literally unbelievable.
for a player who everybody was so convinced, and I tweet it all the time, they were so convinced that he was the worst free agency signing. For him to do what he did, he's washed out. There's no mid-range game in basketball anymore. It's either at the rim or it's in the three-point line. And he comes in and he plays the way that he plays. It's just unbelievable. You wouldn't have expected that from a Bulls player.
No, no. I always say it. I was absolutely buzzing when we picked him up. I didn't get why people were saying it was a bad signing. I didn't get that at all. But I also didn't expect him to be anywhere near as good as he has been. And he's just.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like when Zach. I mean, Zach still. My issue with Zach is sometimes his decision making still isn't great. Although this season it has been better because he's not the sole reliant sole scorer, so it's a bit better for him. But I think even some of DeMar's shots last night. I mean, one of them he missed, and I was like, "What's he taking that for?" It was a stupid shot. But then you remember it's DeRozan. He hits them more often than not. So there's not
Yeah.
really a bad shot for him. Doesn't matter when it is in the shot
No.
clock. You just got to let him shoot it. Ah, hang on, Andy. You've frozen. I'm going to have to sort this out. This has happened on the last 4 attempts. Sorry, guys. Goodness me. Sorry, Andy. You've just frozen on there, mate. What I'm going to have to do, Andy, I'm going to get you out and call you straight back in, mate. Is that okay? Thank you. Sorry about this, guys. This is something I'm going to be sorting out because it's becoming a bit of a regular issue now. We should sort this out between Christmas and the New Year so it stops happening, I think. Right. Right, that's set back up. Andy should be back with us any second now. Sorry, guys. This is a bit frustrating now. So this is something that I will be sorting out. There won't be an episode for a couple of weeks, so that gives me a chance to sort these issues out, hopefully. And he should be accepting that in just a second, and then we'll be back going again. Here we go. You're back. There we go. Sorry about that, Andy.
Oh, you're fine, man.
Becoming a regular thing. I'm going to have to get that sorted. Yeah, sorry. Carry on, mate. I think we were talking about DeRozan.
Yeah, so I think I was saying that if you put the ball in his hands anywhere inside the arc, you know that he's going to get you a bucket. It don't matter what point in the game, where you are, whether you're up, you're down, whether it's to put you in the lead side of score. The confidence of the man is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I love that in him. It's just brilliant.
Mind you, Denzel Valentine used to be confident.
He's having the ability to back it up as well. I've seen, he's having that ability behind him to back him up. So, you can't say enough about DeRozan. His name definitely at this stage should be in the MVP ring.
Absolutely.
He's only because he was out. He's not the leading fourth quarter scorer like he was, but he's not far off again. No. What was it, 19 points last night in the fourth quarter?
19 in the fourth, 38 overall. I think Tatum's just jumped him in the fourth quarter, hasn't he? I think he's behind Jason Tatum now. But I think he'll get that back. I mean, we've got another game tonight, so he's... I mean, I don't know if you saw his post-game interview afterwards when he was still on the court, and they sort of said to him, it was, of course, it's not Stacey King or Adam Amin at the moment, so we had Mike Monaco and Stephen Bardo, and they sort of said to him, what is it with you in the fourth quarter? And he's sort of, he was smiling the whole way through the interview. It was brilliant. Excuse me. But he said, it's like boxing. It's the championship rounds. And it's like, that's just hit the nail on the head.
And that's what you want, isn't it? Because, the Bulls, throughout the season, we've struggled with points off the bench.
Yeah.
Even last night, we struggled again last night with points off the bench. Now, okay, we're missing key starters. We were missing Levine. So naturally, some of your point scorers start. But when you know that you've got DeRozan who's going to come on and he can drop you 10, 15, 20 points in the fourth quarter, you worry a little bit less about the points off the bench. It's when you haven't got those big scorers that are delivering, that's when you really start to worry about your bench and what they can deliver. So at the moment, put the ball in his hands and let him go and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy to think that we've done that last night with no Zach LaVine, with no Io. I know he's only a rookie, but he's been fantastic. Obviously Pat Williams, but we kind of don't talk about him anymore because he's out anyway. So we're doing it without... Who else? There's someone else out who I'm forgetting. Mine's gone a blank. Somebody else out. Can't think who it is off the top of my head. Obviously Troy Brown's out as well. I can't think who it was. My mind's gone a complete blank now. I'm sure we were one more out. Just looking now. No, it was. Maybe it was Troy Brown then. Yeah, maybe it was Troy Brown.
Yeah.
But, mate, all right, without Zach and Io, we're still doing that. And, Io's been phenomenal on both ends, like we seem to say every week.
I've said it before. I've tweeted it out. Many people have said it as well. For the 38th pick in the draft, Acme deliver again. I think he was expected to go a little bit sooner, wasn't he?
Yeah.
So to be left for the 38th pick, and then I was probably as shocked as others to see the minutes that he was getting early on. You expect him to pick up a couple of minutes here and there. But he's a confidence player. His confidence to, he got swatted away a few times, going to the rim, and he'll learn to protect the ball a little bit better. But that's what you want. That's what we all wanted from Pat Williams, was to, take a few shots,
be aggressive,
get a few points, not be frightened, to go to the rim.
Yeah.
And I always deliver him. And I think if you're Kobe White, you've got to be a little bit worried that the new rookie has come in and he's basically providing what you were expected to provide. So, for me, I know there's a lot of talk at the moment that they want, they need some height in the team. They want another wing defender to come off the bench. The only real tradable asset that you've got at the minute is Kobe White, in my mind. I don't think Pat Williams is going to be in any talks.
No.
He's the first player that they traded. They drafted. They picked him fourth. You don't use a fourth pick for somebody that you're going to get rid of very, very quickly.
No.
So for me, Kobe has to be a little bit worried. And there was a video on Twitter, I think Sam posted it up. After the Lakers game, he stayed behind, getting some extra shots in, getting a bit of practice in. And that's what you want to see. That shows me that he's not giving up. He's really going to push on. Fingers crossed. Hopefully, he comes good tonight against the Rockets. We will see. But Io for me is he won't be the rookie of the year.
No, he won't.
He doesn't score enough points. He's not getting enough minutes.
I think that's going to Mobley. I don't think there's too much doubt about that at the moment. That's going to go to Evan Mobley. Mind you, I think Mobley has just gone out, hasn't he? But if he can stay fit, I think that's Evan Mobley's to lose the rookie of the year.
But I always is an absolute cracking player for a young kid from Chicago. You cannot fault at all what he has done for the Bulls this year. No. Bigger and better things are to come from him, undoubtedly.
Yeah, it's interesting what you say about with Kobe, because had Kobe not have been injured coming into the season, Io's not getting those minutes that he's been getting.
Nope.
And that's
absolutely not.
Crazy thing with it all. You're saying about the video as well about Kobe staying back after the game to get up some shots and stuff. That's not the first time he's done that. He does that quite often. That's what I love about him, is he does put the work in. I say it every week, but I'm still not completely sold on Kobe. I mean, if we traded him for something, I'm not going to get too upset about it. And I wish him well.
Yeah.
I hope that he goes, if he did get traded, I hope that he goes on and plays well, like the likes of Campaign and other guys. Wendell Carter's doing it at the moment. Brilliant. Nothing but that's great. I'm happy about that, because it didn't work out here. It's great that it's worked out somewhere else. But I love Kobe as a person. I don't even dislike his game. I don't dislike his game. I just think he's too inconsistent, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But I want that to change, and I would love that to change in a Bulls uniform and him stay here and it would work out. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, like you, I'm, if the right trade come along, then I'm certainly not going to get upset if Kobe did leave. Although I would feel bad because he does work his, he worked his butt off. So it's.
And that's it. There's only so far though that people say that shooters are going to go through streaky patches. It's how long, because Kobe is the last remaining piece other than Levine.
Yes.
I think, for the new front office.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
They've not got the same affiliation with him that they have with Williams, that they have with Io. And, it's all that comes together, which means that he probably does have to work harder than the rest of the Bulls lineup at the moment, because he's got a point to prove. And like you, I do hope he comes good. I hope he pops off tonight, against the Rockets, drops 20, 30 points, and we're all singing his praises on Twitter. I'd love for that to happen.
Yeah, you and me both. It's just, he'll have one really hot game and then 3 or 4 ice cold games. There's kind of no in between. I really, 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 really hope that changes. I know I say that every week, but I genuinely do, because I love the person that Kobe is. As much as anything. But yeah, I mean, speaking of last night, I was just going to say, you were saying about getting off to slow starts and things like that. Lonzo, I think he missed his first 2 3-pointers, didn't he? And you just thought, oh no, not again, because he's been firing that quite well all season, but he's had a couple of slow games. And then out of nowhere, he made one, and that was it. I mean, in the first quarter, I remember he made a 3-pointer, went up the other end, blocked LeBron, then went up the other end on the break and made a layup. He may have double dribbled. He absolutely did double dribble, but we're not going to.
He absolutely did double dribble.
We're not going to mention that because the officials didn't pick it up.
Well, the thing is, these even themselves out because there was a bad pass from LeBron
off Westbrook's foot.
It looked like, he was complaining that it came off. I can't remember who it was with the Bulls player, and it clearly didn't.
No.
So these things even themselves out.
Yeah.
The officiating hasn't been great this season, has it? And that's not just against the Bulls.
No.
At times it feels that way, but the officiating has been poor in my mind across the piece.
We've got our Twitter groups, so it's the NBA fans guys set it up, and it's all the UK fan pages, and we all have a bit of banter in there. Just by reading that, it's not just the Bulls games that these refs are bad, because it seems every morning one of the teams are saying terrible calls, blah blah blah, and we're not blaming the refs for results. For example, that Houston one where Lonzo got given the offensive foul, one of the worst calls I've ever seen in the NBA.
I don't understand how that wasn't the 3 and what. I was such a bad call. Anybody could have made that, and even the Rockets couldn't argue. No fans at all could argue that was a foul on that play.
The worst thing about the call was that they reviewed it and it didn't get overturned. That was the worst part. Listen, I'm not blaming the refs for losing that because we weren't good enough. It's as simple as that. But if that goes in, we probably do win the game, realistically. That's literally one of the worst calls I've ever seen watching this game.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
It was pathetic. And like I say, if it didn't get reviewed, it happens. You get over it. But the fact it was reviewed and it still wasn't overturned, that to me is just mind-boggling. Absolutely mind-boggling.
No, I agree.
But Lonzo did pick it up, thank goodness, because it was worrying.
He did.
And we need Lonzo, especially with Zach out. We need Lonzo scoring.
Yes, we do. And we need Vooch as well.
Mm-hmm.
We need Vooch because when Vooch goes off, he's virtually unplayable. I know there's a lot on Twitter that people want rid, get him traded out, this, that, and the other. I disagree completely. I think he's pivotal to the Bulls' offense. And if we get him going, it solves a lot of our problems that we run into with his own defense. When we end up just with Zach and DeMar playing iso ball, he is that third option that you can stick it into him, and he's a decent passer of the ball as well.
He's a very good passer.
He puts up a good number of assists each and every game. So for me, it's frustrating when you're watching him, and it's not falling for him. But then you watch him against the Hornets, he drops 30 points.
Yeah.
He leads all teams, drops 30 points. You've then got DeMar 20 odd, Levine 20 odd, and that's how you end up dropping 130 odd points.
Yeah.
In a game, he'll find his touch and he'll go off. He'll have a streak. 4 or 5 games, and everybody will love him again.
It's a confidence thing, and listen, we're frustrated watching him. But I mean, which game was it? I can't remember what game it was in particular now. There's no one more frustrated than Vooch, and he really showed it in that one particular game when he couldn't even make a layup. He was having such a poor game. I think it was all a lot of it's in his head, but you could see the frustration. I mean, you don't see him like that. He's normally quite cool and calm, but he was visibly very, very frustrated. He was smacking the ball on the court and against it's not nice to watch, and he's going to turn it around. He's too good a player not to. Like I always say, he gets in the right spots. He's getting great looks. His little hook shot, that's normally money,
Yep.
If he was taking terrible shots, then there's going to be a problem. He's not. He's getting great looks, and he's good enough to drop them. They're leaving him wide open on 3. Of course he's got to take that. He's a great three-pointer shooter.
Of course he is. And you don't lose that overnight, do you? Like you say, he only needs 1 or 2 of them to drop early in the game. And you just know then that you can put the ball in his hands and he is going to do something. He's either going to find the open man or he's going to nail the 3. He's too good of a player. to go a full season, and we're still saying, we're still having the same conversation come the end of the season as we head into the playoffs. I just don't see that happening. I just see him turning it around me.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I'm massively backing that as well, because I just think he's, like you say, he's too good a player not to. And on the defensive end, he's improved massively this season, because he never was a defender. I don't think he ever claimed to be, but he's serviceable on that end of the floor now as well.
And I think a lot of the improvements on the defensive end, you've got to single out Ball and you've got to single out Caruso, because you've got to hold the rest of the team accountable. If you're putting all the effort in, you're getting the steals, you're disrupting plays, but nobody behind you's doing it, you're going to start, you're going to wonder why. So I think that, you've got to accredit a lot of that improvement to those two. They're both absolute pests on the court.
Oh, and I love how vocal Caruso is as well. Yeah. I mean, he first come into the team, they'd done the open training session, didn't they, which they put out on YouTube, and he was the main one sort of telling them, and they think, hang on, you've only just come here, and it's not a negative, that's a great thing. We haven't had that. You want.
Yeah, that is what you want. You want somebody coming in like that.
Yeah.
He knows what he's been brought in for. He knows what he's good for. He knew he was a bench player. He knew he was going to be the sixth man. Yeah. And he's relished in that role. He's absolutely, he's come into his own. And at times, it's like he's an octopus. It's like he's got 8 arms, because you wonder how he manages to get onto the ball sometimes. But he does, and he does it cleanly as well.
It is unbelievable. I love watching him. Everyone that follows me on Twitter will know how much I love the guy. I could literally watch him play the entire game and not have a minute's rest, and I'd be happy. I think I love that grit, and without sounding like Jim Board, I love that his just attitude just to get involved in everything. And obviously he's got the talent to back that as well, but he's not the flashy shooter or dunker, and he knows that he can do that, but he's he knows that's not what he's about. And he, like you say, he just absolutely loves what he does. It's brilliant. I can't speak highly enough of Alex Caruso. Well, any of these players. I mean, there's not a player on this team that I dislike. I mean, even McKinney, who's come in and just signed another 10-day. I think he's done well. All right, he's not setting it alight, but he's doing a solid job. Considering we got him in from nowhere.
And that's it, isn't it? He's come in. He's been brought in. This is what you brought here to do, and he's delivering. He stepped into the team and he's doing what he needs to do. You can't ask for any more for a player who's been brought in and told you got a 10-day contract, and it's shown because they've renewed it. They still need him. And let's carry on.
And he's an old head. It's good to have another old head on the court. But
absolutely.
I absolutely love him watching this team. Another thing I wanted to point on, DeRozan, he's not getting these foul calls, is he? There's quite a few that just go.
Yeah, I mean, he went to the free throw line quite a bit last night, didn't he? He seemed to get a few more last night, but down the stretch, he was pushing to the rim and he just weren't getting any calls at all. So
there was a couple of really dubious ones last night. He was getting a lot more in the second half, but in the first half there was a couple of really dubious ones that they just weren't calling. To be fair, there was a couple up the other end as well, so we can't really complain too much. But it's a shame. That's the other thing. It's a shame that they announced that Derek Jones Jr. Obviously, he went off yesterday. He went off halfway through the game last night with the hamstring. He will not play tonight, by all accounts.
Okay.
Shame, because he's another one. He's been phenomenal. It's actually a shame that his contract's up at the end of this year, because I don't think we can afford to keep him. But who knows?
And that's it, isn't it? Because let's be honest, Zach's going to get his money. There's no two ways about it.
No, he has to.
Absolutely. He's the figurehead for me of the Bulls for the foreseeable. You've got to give him his payday. He's stuck around through some pretty torrid times. So now you've got to let him lead, haven't you? You've got to give him his big payday. You've built a team. You've brought in some very, very good players to support him. But like you say, it's just unfortunate that there's going to be players like Derek Jones Jr. who, they're not going to be here, I don't think, next season?
I don't think so, and it is a shame. I wouldn't be surprised if he was in a trade package, just because he's on an expiring. That said, saying about Zach, I've said this a few times, people. I wouldn't be surprised if Zach did take a slight drop in the money that he's entitled to if they can get another star in. I wouldn't be surprised if Zach did that. I'm not saying he should. He deserves his money. Absolutely he does. But I wouldn't be surprised if that was his attitude going into the contract negotiations.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that, I mean, obviously, the front office is very good. They know what they're doing. They're talking to him now. But you wouldn't be surprised if that's the way that they were playing him at the moment, is to say, look, we need one more piece of this jigsaw and we can absolutely deliver you a championship. If we can keep the team fit, we've shown you we're 18-10. When everybody wrote us off, the team won't gel. You and Demar won't play well together. Lonzo can't shoot the ball, even though he's been trying to work hard on it. The team's just not going to work. And we're sat at 18-10, and we've had players out pretty consistently. From there. For me, that's the way I think the front office are going to be playing it. And if you can take a little bit less, then maybe we can put that final piece in place. We can bring that big guy in that we need, to support off the bench. Who knows? Like you say, he's well within his rights to turn around and say, nope, I've done what you asked me to do. I want my money. I want my payday. But I don't think he's stupid. I think, he's the kind of player. I don't think Levine wants to go through his entire career and not get a championship.
No, he's a winner. He is a winner. It's killed him the last few years. I mean, he's never been to the playoffs, which is so hard to believe.
That's scandalous.
That's incredible. The fact that you even just say, we could be one star away from a legit total contender, it just makes you smile so much. But it's
absolutely,
it's not a lie. That's the fact. We are that close now.
Well, we sat out 2 games and we are still second in the East.
Yeah,
I think we certainly were when I looked earlier today. We're still second in the East.
Yeah.
Will we finish second in the East? Maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, it's not impossible now, is it? I would be shocked.
No, absolutely not. Yep.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked because you still expect the Nets and the Bucks to be the top 2. In all honesty, third, absolutely. Why not? Miami are a decent team. Outside of that, who's really going to, push us if we've got a team that's fully fit, playing as well as they have been?
I think the crazy thing is, it seems like all season, bar maybe 2 or 3 games, we've been saying about Vooch's shots not dropping.
Yep.
Imagine how good we're going to be. We're still second. We're 18-10, like you just said. And Vooch hasn't been playing to his normal standards.
Nope.
I mean, listen, I know a lot of teams have had players out, etc., but we've not had Patrick Williams. And Vooch hasn't been playing well. And we're still 18-10. If
you said at the start of the season, you're going to be 18-10.
I wouldn't have believed you for a second.
Yeah, you'd have snapped people's hands off. Absolutely. We'll say, if you said you were level, if you said you're going to be 15-15.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We've not got a losing record.
I would have, if you had said we got to Christmas with a 500 record, I would have taken that for sure. Yeah, 100%. Especially after that West trip we had. That was brutal. November was a brutal month.
Yeah.
And I would have said, right, we got to the New Year or to Christmas with a 500 record, and we've got that brutal schedule out the way. Yeah, I would absolutely take that. I say it to people all the time. I can't stop smiling when I think about how amazing we are at the moment. It's just such a nice feeling.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
It's incredible. It really, really is. Yeah.
It's a great time to be a Bulls fan.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. It is. I just can't stop smiling, mate. It's crazy. I'm going to speak about the offensive rebounds last night. To me, that was, especially in the fourth quarter, those offensive rebounds we got, that won us the game, essentially.
Yeah, and where we've lost, that's where we've struggled.
Yeah.
We've not had that second chance opportunity.
No. But we're
and we
giving
turn that
teams
around.
it on the other end. That was the trouble.
What's that, sorry?
We were giving the teams it on our end. We were giving them those rebounds, but we weren't collecting them the other end.
Exactly. And like you say, for me, that won us the game. We won by 5 points. You've got to attribute a lot of that to the way we attacked the rim on the second chance. There was a lot of putback opportunities that went in. That in previous games, you take the 76ers. We didn't do that at all.
No.
We just let Embiid do what he wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was fantastic to see, and hopefully, they continue that as we go into these next 5 or 6 games.
Yeah, I was worried initially because DeAndre Jordan just looked like an absolute beast in the first quarter, and I thought, oh my God, we're just not going. He was getting everything. I just thought, well, this is not going to end well for us. And then I don't know what happened. Someone got in his head perhaps, and next thing you know, him and Westbrook in the fourth were just stood there watching the ball, and Caruso ran in between them and grabbed it.
That was one of the 2 times that I woke my wife up last night. There was that time when I started cheering when he just come from nowhere, and the other time was the flex.
Yes.
I just loved that. Because you don't see it from him at all.
No.
He's not that kind of player at all. But that flex against the Lakers, that was him. Like, yes, this is what you could have had, but you let me go. I asked for less. You still let me go, so you can have a bit of this.
And I noticed one of the times when Caruso went down, LeBron was one of the players to pick him up, which I thought was just shows you the respect that LeBron does have for him, and he's been very vocal about that, to be fair to LeBron. But also another bit that made me chuckle was when Rondo come down with I think it was a rebound, and then Caruso just pounced on Rondo, ended up locking him up on the floor, and he got a jump ball from it, which he had no right to do. And then Caruso and Rondo were both lying on the floor laughing, like having a little smile to each other. So that there's a lot of mutual respect there, I would have thought.
And so that's it, isn't it? It's like we said, it's the kind of player that Caruso is.
Yeah.
That he's not left there. He was nothing against the players. He's not engineered a move away. By all accounts, he wanted to stay.
Well, he went back to try and take less money, didn't he? And they still didn't want to.
Exactly.
Crazy.
So there's going to be that respect. Those players know what he can do.
Yeah.
He delivered that during the bubble. He delivered in spades for that team. When, in all honesty, he probably had no rights in doing so because he wasn't the focal point of the team. He's not the big flashy player, but he did the gritty stuff and he did it really, really well. And that then allowed the rest of that Lakers team to go and do what they can do well. And I do think that they miss Caruso.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, they've backed Horton Tucker.
Yeah.
He's now got a lot of weight on his shoulders, a lot of expectation on him, because that is the young player that they backed. And they let Caruso go. And I am 100% glad that they did, because I am delighted that Caruso is a Bull, and long may he remain a Bull.
I was buzzing the morning I woke up and we had signed him. I remember how happy I was, and he's not disappointed. And I love seeing all the Bulls fans. I've not seen one Bulls fan say anything bad about him, and it's just amazing, absolutely amazing. I love the man so much. I'm sure he's got a restraining order out on me for when I get to Chicago.
It wouldn't surprise me. Once your flights are booked to Chicago, I'm pretty sure he will be quickly on that.
If he isn't, then someone needs to warn him quick. Although I really want to give DeMar a hug as well, because I love a hug, and apparently so does DeMar DeRozan. So that's going to be
He's
my
hugging
mission.
Everybody. He had no Zach to hug last night, so it was Caruso that got one.
My mission will be to just stare at Caruso with a weird, freaky smile and freak him out, and hug DeRozan. That's going to be the 2 things I'm going to try and do when I get out.
Sounds like a plan.
if they let me anywhere near them, of course.
They let you in.
I think that's pretty much it on the game last night. To be fair, I think we've covered most of the stuff. Carmelo with back-to-back late threes. Didn't need to put them back in, but it turned out to be thankfully irrelevant because we won anyway. The other thing with Vooch, which I saw somewhere, I think it was yesterday actually, before the game, was saying about his shot not being there. this season he's averaging 15 and 10. 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. He's averaging that, and his shot's not falling. It's
It
scary.
just shows you, doesn't it? It's frightening. You know, what is he averaging if his shot is dropping?
Yeah,
Because
25.
he's still... The thing is, it's not as though he would be taking points away from Levine and from DeRozan, because he's getting those shots.
Exactly, yeah.
Anyway,
yeah,
they're giving him the ball in the first quarter. Go
Yeah.
on, you know, let's see if we can get you going. So what you're then getting is extra points on top of what you've already got. He's not taking the ball out of anybody's hands. Once he gets going, there's not a team I would fear. Once he gets going.
To me, it all depends on what the Sixers do with Ben Simmons. I stick with it. I think Sixers are a terrible matchup for us. And if they get Ben Simmons back, or they make a trade, which is probably more likely, depending on who they can get in, that's the one that I'm not comfortable with, the Sixers. I'll take the Bucks. I'm not saying we'll beat them in a 7-game series. I'm not saying that at all. But I would happily... I think we've blooming lost you again, Andy. I think we have, mate. This is ridiculous. I'm definitely sorting this out. Mate, I'm going to throw you out and bring you straight back in, Andy. Sorry, mate. This is very frustrating. Sorry, mate. I'm going to throw you out and bring you straight back. Sorry, guys. This is getting out of hand now. I'm absolutely going to be on this. Oh, dear. Let's get Andy back in. Sorry, bear with us. This is very frustrating. It's the first time it's gone twice in one episode, but it's something I will definitely be sorting out over the next couple of weeks. Right, that's sent. Andy should be back in with us in a sec. Yeah, we'll get this sorted, and hopefully it won't be happening again. At least it's a bit quicker to fix than the first time it happened. Right, you're back. Sorry about that, mate.
Oh, it's all right. It could well have been my end. We don't know.
No, I have had issues with this the last few episodes, so it's probably my end. So yeah, apologies for that.
No, you're fine.
But yeah, no, the Sixers one is the game that I do fear, depending on what they can do with Simmons. Like I say, I don't think. Oh yeah, I'm talking like we're going to batter the Nets and the Bucks. Of course, I'm not saying that at all. But I'd fancy us more against the Nets, especially if Kyrie's not back, which of course he may well be by then. But you know, I think that's a good matchup for us.
I do.
They play a great style for us. I'm not sure. We don't know about the Bucks yet, of course, because we've not actually played them yet this season. So that's you know, they could absolutely wipe the floor with us. Who knows? But yeah, like you say, conference finals is not out of the question in my opinion at all. I think that's really realistic at the moment. But yeah, who knows? But Andy, I think you wanted to ask me a couple of things, so I'm going to let.
I did. I've got one of them. One of them was literally. I think you've just answered it there. So it was a question that I saw you post up for the Hoops Genius, of if we've got a fully fit Bulls team.
Yeah.
Where do you think we're getting to this season?
Okay, so at the start of the season, I said our ceiling would be the second round. Of obviously the Eastern Conference playoffs, which would have been brilliant. I'd have bitten your hand off for that at the start of the season. Now. I'm really trying. I say this every week. I'm really trying not to get carried away. I'm trying to stay grounded, because how can we go from a team that couldn't even get into the play-in tournament to a team that could now potentially get to the conference finals?
Yep.
But I'm going to say it. I think we can get to the conference finals. I really do. I don't think we'll get to the NBA finals.
Yeah.
But I think we can get to the conference finals. But
I agree.
It sounds crazy coming out of your mouth. It just doesn't sound.
Like you say, it's a big swing, isn't it? You don't want to get carried away because injuries can happen. We all know that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I just wondered if you'd convinced yourself that that's where we can get to.
In my own head, I absolutely have, but I'm trying not to say it out loud because I don't want to look like an idiot.
You don't want people collecting the receipts.
I've got plenty of them this season. Don't you worry about that. My draft folder is as long as my arm, mate, of receipts.
Brilliant. So then, just following up on that, take our Bulls team today. Well, a fully fit Bulls team. You can take one player from the past that's not named Michael Jordan, and you can drop him into our team to turn us into, title contenders, Banner 7 and all that. Who are you picking and why?
So my initial... The first person that comes to my head is Dennis Rodman, because he's my favourite player behind Michael Jordan. But that's probably too obvious, and maybe that's not the player we need either in this team. Although it would be nice to have a legit power forward. That's a great question. Obviously I didn't watch. I always say I didn't watch between the Derrick Rose years and stuff, so it's difficult for me to pick a player from there. So I'd have to pick one that. Oh man, who would I pick? Do you know what? Do you know what I think I would pick? It's out of two, actually. It's out of two, and they're both from the 90s. I would pick either Tony Kukoc or Scottie Pippen. But I think Kukoc would be more of a need. So I'm going to go Tony Kukoc. That's who I would.
So Kukoc was one of my two that I'd picked. The other one was Noah.
Joakim Noah, yeah. See, I love Noah, but where I didn't watch fully then, it would have been difficult for me to have said that.
But Kukoc was sort of... I landed on Kukoc myself.
Yeah, I think I would lean
as being
towards...
he'd fill the gap that we've got at the moment.
Yeah.
I think in the team, and I think that would be the missing piece of the puzzle for us.
Yeah, I think Tony Kukoc would be a great fit, to be fair. Although I'd just love to see Dennis Rodman back.
Could you imagine Rodman playing in this current era?
I mean, he wouldn't survive a quarter, would he? Let's be real. He wouldn't survive a quarter.
He'd have his marching orders very, very quickly, if we're being perfectly honest. And then the final question, I mean, they were the two that I had for you. The final question that came from Scott, and you have to pick... So, Markkanen.
Oh, I knew it was going to be a Lauri Markkanen question.
Mark or Caruso. So your old love or your new love?
Who's told you to ask me this?
Scott,
right.
The belting question. As soon as it came through, I said that is an absolute peach. I will finish with that one.
Scott, you're about to get blocked when this finishes recording. Scott, tell you. Oh, it's Caruso, isn't it? It is. Like,
it's the right answer.
And the reason it's Caruso is not only is he absolutely amazing, but the fact that I just jumped ship so quickly. Like when I started tweeting about Caruso, everyone was going, "Oh, you've forgotten about Lowry already." Listen, I love them both, but Caruso. I love Caruso for what he does. I love Lowry for what I think he can still do, but he hasn't done it on a consistent, regular basis. We've seen it in spells, haven't we? But like I said to Ellie, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I genuinely believe offensively, Lauri Markkanen would be where Vooch is at, or sort of Vooch in his prime when his shot's dropping. That was genuinely where I saw Lauri Markkanen offensively, not on the defensive end. I don't think he's ever going to be a solid defender, but he just hasn't quite got there. I still look for him. I still watch his highlights and stuff, and I still root for him. I do still genuinely love the guy. But yeah, it's Caruso. It has to be, man. That man has just been unbelievable, and he must be doing something right because the whole of Bulls Nation like him. Like I say, I don't think I've seen a negative tweet from a Bulls fan about Caruso, which is unheard of. Any player, even Zach gets his negative tweets, and DeMar even. I've seen a couple of DeMar ones. They're nothing too bad, but I've never seen one about Caruso. Not one.
No. So you know, you hear the chants MVP. He knows he's not going to be MVP. But you know, you've got to back the underdog, haven't you? And for me, a lot of it with Caruso is his story. He's 32 teams in the NBA said you're not good enough to play. So he didn't give up. He went into the G League, and you know the rest is history, isn't it? He got his chance, and he took it with both hands.
I think to get LeBron James's respect as quickly as he did, that kind of tells you everything, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
To be honest, I mean, yeah, his story is great. And you saying about the MVP chance, it was quite funny after the game when he was asked about that. He sort of said, "Look, I wish they would save it for people that are actually up there." And last night they did. They were singing it for DeMar when he was at the line.
Yeah, absolutely, and so they should.
The craziest thing about that is, there's a chance.
Absolutely. You can't have that conversation. You can't talk about the MVP and not talk about what DeMar's done. You can't.
No, you can't. No. He's you know, whether he'll be there at the end of the season, I think at the moment he's still in the top 5. If you ask me personally, I would still definitely put him there. I thought Zach was going to be in the conversation this year, not top 5, perhaps top 10. Deep down in the conversation, granted, but I thought his name would be thrown about by a couple of people. But yeah, it's turned out to be DeRozan, and it's not. That's not false. Like, that is legit. No. He's been phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal.
Absolutely.
I've got to ask you, Andy, what jersey is that you're rocking? It looks like an old champion. Which one? Oh, it is a champion. Oh, it's Rodman. The Rodman one. Nice.
It is.
Nice. Big Rodman fan.
It is.
Big Rodman fan.
Yeah, it's likewise. You know, just his extravagant nature, and the fact that he knew his role, he did it really well.
Yeah,
that's, you know, those three. When you were growing up, you saw Jordan, Pippen, and Rodman. It was hard not to like what Rodman did on the court.
Yeah, unbelievable. I've always rooted for him off the court as well. I just find he's done a lot of questionable things, that are hard to defend. But I always find myself just. Oh, come on, like really just hoping that he's in a good place. You know, I've got so much love for that man. So much love for that man.
Yeah.
Talking of jerseys, we did touch on it earlier, but massive shout out to Elliot from Hoopin' and Luton. I don't know if you've seen it, any people out there, I'm sure you have because it's been all across the socials, but he's basically been giving away kids' jerseys to people doing Christmas cards and stuff. And it's, honestly, he won't like it. If he hears this back, he will hate it because he hates the praise. But genuinely, it's been an amazing thing. I think it was up to 60 something that he's given away.
It's crazy from where it started. So it started, didn't it, as a competition. He tweeted out, "I've got 4 jerseys.
Yeah.
Get your kids to design me a Christmas card. I'll pick my 4 favourites." So you've kind of got to give a little shout out as well to, is it Mark at the Throwback Store?
Throwback Store, because Mark donated a
said,
few.
Yeah, I've got some, throw them in the pile. And then it was about 16 or 20 jerseys that he was going to do, the first ones. And then all of a sudden from there, it has just grown and it has grown and it has grown. And he's making sure that every kid, you know, gets a basketball jersey. So I was in the Lakes, obviously at weekend, there's a basketball court. I put a picture up. I went down there with a basketball, took the kids. My eldest isn't sporty at all. But because of that jersey that he got, he then wanted to play a bit of basketball. So we got him on the free throw line. We got him taking some shots. He won a couple of quid off me because I got him shooting 5 free throws and he shot 1. So I said, if you can get more than 1, I'll give you a quid. So he did. He got 2. I'm sure he was just slow playing it. So I said, right, go on, then let's see if he can beat that. He got 3. You know, I was thinking, I'm going to be out of pocket here if he carries on like this.
He's not been watching White Men Can't Jump, has he?
Pretty much, he must have been. But like I say, he's not sporty at all because he got a Lakers jersey as well. He got, a James jersey. And that just seemed to spark something that he wanted to play with us. Usually he'd stand playing Pokemon Go or something. And he decided that yesterday he was going to come and shoot some hoops with us. So, you know, a massive shout out, massive thanks to Elliot.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
listen,
it's unbelievable what he's done. And you see all the kids with the different jerseys on, the smiles on their faces.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable. And, you know, if you do listen and you haven't done it, get your kids to sit down, no matter how old or how young they are. Get them to scribble on a piece of paper, get them to draw something, fire it into him. And I'm pretty sure at some point you will find a jersey landing, you know, on your doorstep for your kids.
I think he was completely out of jerseys, but then I think he said he'd managed to source a couple more. I don't know where he's getting them all from, but seriously, yeah. As you say, shout out to Mark from the Throwback Store as well, because I know he's thrown a few Elliot's way to do it. But it is amazing, that story you just told, and that's not the first story like that I've heard. So, Elliot, you are literally getting kids playing basketball, mate. It is truly unbelievable, and I know
you're doing more than what the British Basketball League have done in God knows how many seasons to get kids on a basketball court with a ball in their hand.
Yeah, and he's a humble bloke. He won't like the praise, but it's just facts. And I know for a fact that he likes to give it all the mouth, Elliot, on all the banter and everything else. But I know for a fact that he sits down when he goes through all his messages at home, and there's got to be a tear in his eye for what he's done. If there's not, there should be. There should be, because it's absolutely amazing what he's doing. So massive respect for that, Ellie. Massive respect. Although if you have given one of my kids a Knicks jersey, I'm going to come on next week and absolutely destroy you. So
it wouldn't surprise me.
I would not put it past him. I really wouldn't.
Not at all.
Right, Andy, we'll quickly touch on the games this week just for the prediction. We didn't do it last week because it seemed completely pointless, because we didn't even know if there was going to be the Lakers game. We have got... I'm not actually going to do the show for probably about 3 weeks after this one. So we'll touch on the next 2 weeks' games. We'll do them in 2 different spells.
Yeah.
So we'll start this week. We got the Rockets tonight at home.
Yeah.
Wednesday, we got the Raptors at home. And then Boxing Day, we've got the Pacers again at home. So what are you saying for those 3?
I think we're going to go 2-1. I think we're going to struggle tonight on a back-to-back against the Rockets. And I think we're going to beat the Raptors and the Pacers.
Right. I was going to go 2-1, but I wasn't going to take the Rockets defeat, because I don't think they'll let that happen after what happened last time against the Rockets. I think it could be the Raptors one that bites us. But I'm going to go 3-0 because I won't match you. So I'm going to go 3-0. And then we've got the following week. We've got Monday, we've got Hawks on the road, which is actually the second night of a back-to-back. That's directly after the Pacers game. Then we've got the Hawks at home on the Wednesday. Then New Year's Eve, which is the Friday, we've got the Pacers on the road, which is an 8 o'clock tip actually in the UK time. And then on the Saturday...
Hopefully they don't change that one.
Yeah, hopefully not. Mind you, not. I'll probably get away with watching that. We'll have to see. On the Saturday, which obviously is another back-to-back, we got the Wizards on the road. Crikey, that's 3 back-to-backs in 2 weeks. In just over 2 weeks. That's crazy. So yeah, Hawks twice, Pacers, Wizards.
So I'm going to go 3-1.
Oh, you've nicked me again. You're in my head. You're in my head. Okay, I'm gonna go 2-2 for that one then, because I can't go 4-0 because that's it's not unrealistic, but it's a stretch.
You were surprised if they went 4-0, but yeah.
I'm going to go 2-2. So I'm going 3-0 this week. You're going 2-1, and then the following week I'm going 2-2, and you're going 3-1. And we'll touch back on that on the next episode. I'm not sure when that's going to be yet, guys. It will be in the new year now. I'm not going to do one now this side of the new year. So I will keep an eye on the socials. I'll tweet that out when that's going to go out. But we'll get this technical issue we've got. I'm going to get that sorted as well, because that's become frustrating over the past few weeks. So we'll get that sorted. But Andy, thanks again, man, for your time and doing this. I've really enjoyed it.
No, thanks for having me on. It's much appreciated.
It's great to finally speak to you. Obviously, we've been interacting quite a bit on the social, so it's nice to actually speak to you face to face. So,
yeah, no, it's definitely good. And if you ever want me back on, if you run out of guests as we playoff time and stuff like that, give us a shout.
100
More than happy to jump on.
100%, man. We'll definitely have you back on sort of near the end of the season for sure. There's a few people that want to come back on as well. So, yeah, we'll definitely get you all back on. It'd be great. So, yeah, thanks again, man. Really appreciate your time. And like I say, guys, we're not going to do one for a couple of weeks. Just keep an eye on the socials about the next one. Probably about 2 or 3 weeks away, I would imagine. See how it goes, really. I've got so much on like everyone else, hopefully, if things don't get cancelled. But yeah, thanks again for listening, joining, watching, however you've got involved. As always, I really do appreciate it. And enjoy the games this week. Got quite a few on over the next couple of weeks. Enjoy those. And more importantly, just stay safe out there, guys. Cheers. Take care.